Today, I'm going to walk you through Antigravity CLI, which is a brand new CLI that's just dropped from Antigravity. And I would say this is actually better than the original app version of Antigravity from Google. And it's a really powerful way to just create teams of AI agents and code out whatever you want. And something to note here is it is free. It's available to everyone, right? So this is free to use right now. And here's an example. So you can see, for example, we've built out all these sorts of projects here using this powerful process, and it's super easy and simple to set up. So I've actually plugged it into my agent operating system. You can use it however you want. And then you can see here, for example, we've got anti-gravity over here, and we can chat with it directly. And then once we actually build stuff with it, we can view it over here, right? And we can actually just view stuff that we built inside a new tab as well. The thing that I like about it is it creates really clean, nice designs. As you can see, we can plug in an example title here. Let's test this project out, and then you can see here it creates like these really useful sort of ideas around content and social media posts and that sort of thing, right? Here's another example of what we built. So we actually built out a game over here, so you can build apps, games, tools, websites, landing pages, whatever you want using Antigravity CLI. And you can see an example of what we built over here. Again, like, you can build some really cool fun stuff. The other thing that I've noticed about Antigravity is that it's very, very fast, right? It creates whatever you want very quickly indeed. So it's pretty powerful stuff, and you can see how easy it is to use and preview this stuff, right? Here's another example. So if we open this up, this was another app that we built. So I've shown you a game, I've shown you a website, shown you an app example of what we've built here. Here's another example of what we built. Pretty cool. And then, for example, if we go down here, you can see that we've also built out even like websites and that sort of thing. So you can build out like a full, blog, essentially, as you can see right here, using this process. Really, really cool. And then you've got it all stored inside the workspace right here. So let's run through exactly what it means, what it is, etc. So Google have just announced it, right? And it's basically a lightweight to use anti-gravity. Now, this is pretty good because if you open up anti-gravity normally as an app, it is a little bit slow to open up, right? I tend not to open up anymore because it's just so slow, and I'm running a Mac Studio, so I can't even imagine what it's like on a normal sort of laptop, right? And so the thing to note here is that this Google's anti-gravity CLI is free, right? It's replacing Gemini's CLI, and you can wire it into your agent operating system. And the cool thing about this is it's basically the same agent harness as Antigravity 2.0. You got sub agents, you got slash commands. It's actually built in Go as well. And if you plug it into an agent operating system, you can just create some awesome stuff, as I've shown you a second ago. And that really unlocks the power of it as well. So you've got anti-gravity over here, and then you've got all these different pillars that you can create it around. And again, CLI is free, right? Pretty nice. So if you're wondering, okay, what is anti-gravity CLI? It's basically a lightweight version of anti-gravity, right? And the thing to note about all of this is, like, before, I don't know about you, but coding was a bit of a nightmare, right? I never knew which tool to use. I couldn't preview anything. I definitely couldn't view it all like this. I'd lose track of everything as well, which is kind of annoying. And then also, you keep losing what you've created, right? Files would just vanish because you don't even check anything. Also, every new chat would start from zero because there's no like memory system without this. And then, when anti-gravity CLI dropped, I actually just wired it into agent operating system. And now, if you're creating something like this dashboard, as you can see, well, you can open everything inside one dashboard, and the anti-gravity CLI is just one tap away, sat next to all the other agents that you have. So you can have these next to Claude and OpenClaw and Hermes and Gemini, anti-gravity and everything else. And then every output previews as well. So you can see the previews over here, which is pretty cool as well. Additionally, on top of that, you can create like multiple sub agents and just walk away. They can go off and do work, and it's free to use the CLI as well, right? And so I know quite a lot of people have built out agent operating systems by this point. A lot of people, so you can see, for example, we got Dr. John Meza here, who created his own agent operating system just using our blueprint. So you can build this yourself as well. The main thing that I would say is, like, you've seen how powerful this is. I'm going to show you how to wire anti-gravity into your own agent operating system. But I would just, promise yourself that you're actually going to implement this. You're actually going to build it, right? Because the people sitting still are getting passed, right? The people implementing this today are the ones who will look back in 6 months and say, wow, that was awesome. So you want to be one of those people, right? So commit to this transition, commit to taking action today. And I'll walk you through the Goldie Gravity terminal setup, all right? So it's basically like 5 floors inside Antigravity, and each floor is, a way to build anti-gravity and use the full power of it, right? So how are we doing this? Well, step number 1 is you have the CLI yourself, right? So you can get Antigravity CLI. It's actually open source. You can actually see it over here, for example. So you can get this, it's open source, etc. It's on GitHub. And then you can have anti-gravity next to all your AI agents, which means like you don't need to switch between tabs. You don't need to move around a lot. You can just get it implemented. You can start working in seconds, not minutes, right? And then when you're doing this, so for example, you can see all this chat here. What I do is I just give it a command, give it a prompt, as you can see here. So this is the prompt I asked it to build. And then I let the sub agents do the heavy work, right? And this is what I call layer 2, which is lift. So you ask one thing, 3 agents take off in parallel, whilst you keep typing in the main prompt they're already building, right? And you can just get 3 jobs done from one ask without waiting on any of them. And then the third layer is really the orbit section, right? So every output stays in view. So for example, if you look at this that we've built, right, I can just preview everything that I've built inside the workspace section. So this is basically, you can set up whatever anti-gravity builds. You can make sure that it shows up inside your workspace tab, right? And then you can click any file to land. And if you're wondering, okay, like how do you get anti-gravity to build this for you? You can just go into anti-gravity, give it the CLI, tell it exactly what you want. So for example, build me a workspace preview, and then it can go off and do that for you, right? And that way, the cool thing about this is like you stop losing the things AI made you, and they never leave orbit, right? And that's why it's called layer 3 or orbit. Then layer 4 is the memory, right? And this means basically like the sessions, they never fall down because you've got this memory system holding it all up, right? And so like your AI agents, anti-gravity and everything else can use your memory system locally, right? I actually use something called Obsidian. As you can see, we've put that into our agent operating system as well. And the cool thing about this is it all links your anti-gravity agents, right? And so every project is local. And even like, if you, for example, if you have a buggy session or something like that, well, the cool thing about this is it's all stored locally and your agents take notes automatically with the memory system. And so it's wired into anti-gravity, right? And so the cool thing about this is your agents have context. So you don't need to re-explain yourself every single time. And then the final layer is number 5, which is loop. So, whilst you're doing stuff in the background, anti-gravity and your agent operating system is getting better and better, right? So anti-gravity's sub-agents can run on their own schedule, not yours, right? Which means that you don't need to be there for them to build stuff, right? If I give anti-gravity prompt over here and then I just walk away, it's going to get stuff done, right? And that's a loop. So it's really cool. It's a really powerful way to build this stuff. If you have any questions as we go along, like feel free to ask. Eubin says, let's go, Julian. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for joining. And yeah, just to be clear here, it is free to use, right? There are token limits, but you can use the free plan as well, which is pretty cool. And also it's open source, right? And the great thing about this is like, you don't need to subscribe to other coding agents. You can plug this into your systems, and it's really easy to use, right? And so let's talk about the old way versus the new way. The old way was like, before you would use Gemini CLI alone inside your terminal. You'd have one Gemini CLI tab. You might have another agent in the background, but you're just having one conversation at a time. And also, most people weren't using sub agents before, so every task was blocking the terminal until that got done. Additionally, people would also have other subscriptions. So for example, like Claude Code and that sort of thing. And every output would be like just put somewhere in some random folder you never check again. Additionally, the sessions can vanish when you close the terminal. Whereas, for example, if you have a look at the agent operating system that we built in, and this is why I recommend building it, is that you can see your whole history here. So you can scroll through the chat and see your whole history. And then it's also free as well, and you get a daily amount of tokens you can use. Every output lands in your project folder, so your workspace tab over here. So we can see our project folders, and then we can preview the actual tool that we've built, which is pretty cool. Sessions persist as well because it's got the memory system across all of your AI agents. So we've got the memory over here. And then this is free to use, right? And so the result is you have one amazing dashboard with every output and preview ready to go, which is really, really cool. And also you can get like 3 jobs done from one ask, right? So you can give Anti-Gravity one prompt and then it spawns a team of sub-agents and your sub-agents just start working without you, right? And you stop waiting in line for your agents to get stuff done. I mean, here's what the dashboard looks like. It's pretty awesome. So let's see what questions we got here. Philly says, how long did it take to set up an agent operating system? So if you have a look, for example, it's pretty cool. If you have a look at John, who built his own operating system here, as soon as we gave him the blueprint, he built it within like 24 hours, right? And so, it shouldn't take you long. For me personally, I think to build out the first version, bear in mind, like I've tweaked and improved it over hundreds of hours now, but the first version only took like 1 hour, right? So, it shouldn't take you longer than an hour to build the first version of this out. So some people are going to say, I'll have to learn another command syntax, for example, when you're using a CLI. But actually, you don't need to learn anything, right? Because you can just speak to your AI agent in plain English over here. And you don't need to, you can just give it the prompt and it handles all the terminal commands for you. So that's one of the best things about this is like, you don't need to be technical for it. Other people say, well, this is for developers. I don't know how to use the terminal. But honestly, if you build out like a agent operating system like this, you don't even need to use the terminal, right? We're not using the terminal to build this. We've plugged it into an agent operating system where we've got a beautiful user interface across all of our AI agents, and we don't need to code, we don't need to use terminal, we don't need to switch between tabs or anything like that. Other people say, well, free models, they always run out of tokens when they're mid-flow, right? What you can actually do is you can always switch to another provider. So you could use, for example, like Owl Alpha, which is a free API, if you run out of tokens on the anti-gravity plan, right? So that way, you got free models as a backup and you got a fallback. So for example, like you could switch to free Claude Code if you run out of tokens on anti-gravity or something like that. And the cool thing about this is if you build out a system, right? So if we've got this agent operating system, the great thing about this is like whatever Google brings out next, you get it basically same day. And also you can plug it into your system again, right? So you stop falling behind every time Google creates an update. So for example, every improvement Google creates lands in the CLI, right? And so you don't need to update it manually or anything like that. It just automatically goes to the CLI you've plugged in, which is really cool. And also, Anti-Gravity shares the same agent harness as Anti-Gravity 2.0, which means that all future improvements to their agents automatically updated inside the CLI, which is really, really cool. And if you want to see some examples of what we've built, right? So you can see, for example, here we chatted to it inside the chat here, asked it to build out a website, etc. And then, for example, you can even build out like your own studio and that sort of thing. So this just gives you some inspiration for your own agent operating system. You can see, for example, here we actually built out a full blog for our website as well. And that was just built in like 4 minutes of anti-gravity. So there's so much cool stuff you can do with this. The other thing to note here is like Gemini CLI is going away on June the 18th. So if you're using any sort of CLI, whether that's Gemini or anti-gravity, you want to make sure you switch to anti-gravity now. So right now, anti-gravity CLI is available to everyone, but on June the 18th, they're going to stop using the Gemini CLI, right? So just bear that in mind. So that's basically how to use it, how to set up. Again, I've shown you it's free. I've shown you what to do if you run out of tokens as well, which is pretty cool. What else we got here? So does it not use an API key of Google Studio? No, you can just log in with your Google account. Yubin says, how do you begin to set this up from zero? Is a new command center to orchestrate everything. Yeah, that's it. It's to organize everything, really. It's to create like a beautiful UI where you keep everything in one place and you don't need to switch between tabs and terminals. And it's always ready to go, right? Whereas, for example, if I want to start up Hermes normally, I'm going to have to go over into my terminal. The same with Antigravity. I have to remember all the commands for it. You don't want that, right? Instead, like you've got everything ready to go, all saved in one place with all of your outputs ready to go like this. So that's what you want, right? And then for setting up the operating system, you would just go into Antigravity and say, hey, build this for me. Here's my idea. And go off and build it, right? And then you keep iterating and improving from there. If you want my system, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom, ready to go with the zip files and the 30-day plan and the prompts for setting up. But if you wanted to build your own, you just go into Antigravity and ask it. Thor says, what do you use to create like the guides inside your presentations like you can see over here? So we actually use the agent operating system for that. So for example, if I go into Claude, it can build out the guides and everything for me, right? Based on what I tell it. So that's the way that I do it. Again, if you're inside the AI Profit Boardroom, you can direct message me and I'll actually give you the skill that I've used to create that, right? So you can get the skill MD file for that. So let's talk about some things because I've shown you how to set it up. I've shown you that it's free. I've shown you how powerful it is. I've shown you some of the awesome outputs you can get from this and how much better it actually is, plus all the benefits of using this. There's nothing holding you back, right? But some people are going to say, well, free always means worse. And I would say sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't, right? So the right belief here is like this is Google's flagship coding agent. Right? This is the most powerful one. And the reason they've got a free tier is because Google needs developer adoption to compete with Anthropic and OpenAI. So you're not getting the worst version, you're getting their best version of their best coding agent. Other people say, well, I should wait until this is like 100% ready. But the thing is, these tools evolve every single day, right? And they'll keep evolving for the next 3 years. So every month you wait, the gap between you and the people who started now will widen, right? And 6 months from now, you'll be like, ah, should have started in May, right? So, the people who figure out how to use multi-agent terminals like this now are way ahead when everything settles, right? Every CLI you learn, every workflow you build, every problem you solve, it all helps you. It all improves your skill set. Other people say, well, I'm not technical enough to set up terminal CLI. Because you can actually get Antigravity set up for you inside the app, right? If you want to, or you can get Claude set up for you as well. And there's a lot of members inside the app for boarding. We've gone from like never opened up terminal before to I've built a full agent operating system, as I showed you before, right? So it's a CLI is like a really easy path right now. It's not the hardest at all. And you can see like I've seen so many people achieve awesome results who have never used AI before, right? So if they can do it, you can do it, right? There's nothing stopping you here. So that's basically it. In terms of what you've just learned here today. So you've learned how to use Antigravity CLI for free. I've shown you how to use sub agents. I've shown you how to keep everything in one place and why you want to set up an agent operating system. And I've also shown you what this means for you and how it can help you and everything else, right? And Fluffy says, so my agent operating system is not on GitHub. No, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom community. You can get that link in the comments description or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. But again, like I've shown you and talked about, like you can ask Antigravity to build it for you. If you don't want to use my system, you can ask Antigravity directly. And so if you do want my setup, with the Antigravity CLI and the agent operating system stack, well, you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. We have it running alongside Claude, Codex, Hermes, OpenClaw, and Free Claude Code, right? And inside the AI profile bottom, you get the full setup, the install, the calls, and the community, right? So you get the full agent operating install with the zip file and everything else. You get a walkthrough tutorial on how to set up, a 30-day roadmap, weekly live coaching calls, 3,000 members in there you can connect with, and it's all inside here, as you can see, right? So if you go to the classroom, then you go to new daily updates, you can see that we tell you when it was last updated. So you get the latest updates, you have the latest version. You have the video tutorial over here, and then you have the zip file as well, right? So if you want to get all this stuff, it's all available for you, along with all of my best trainings. Plus, inside the community, if you ask questions, we actually answer your questions with video tutorials daily so that we can help you as much as we can. We have weekly coaching calls where you can jump on live coaching calls, ask questions, meet the community, etc. Inside the map section here, you can actually connect with people in your local city who are using AI agents like you, which is pretty awesome. And you can connect with me personally inside there too. Today, I'm going to show you a new powerful way to use Hermes Agent as a video agent using a free setup that can create videos for you, and you can even edit your videos and all sorts of cool stuff, right? So let me show you an example here. And the cool thing about this is you can even, for example, have, like, let's say we've got a video that we need to edit, like this one from NotebookLM. It can actually edit the videos like you can see right here, and we can preview them inside our workspace. Everything that we create is plugged in as well. We can prompt it on new videos to create over here. And it's basically a really powerful way to use a Hermes agent as a video agent, right? And you can see an example here. So I can actually create like AI avatar videos of myself. I can select which style I actually want to use, and then I can give it a prompt over here to generate that, and then we can go. We can also change the voice as well, which is pretty amazing. And then what we also have with this is we can preview our videos over here as well, which is pretty amazing, right? So for example, you can see an example of a video we've created using Hermes agent and the free skill that I'm going to show you that can actually do this for us. But it is pretty amazing what you can do right here. All right. Here's another example, right? So you can see how we've got the AI avatar over here, and then this is like a fully edited video using this AI agent, right? And so this is possible with something called hyperframes and a new CLI that can basically edit and create videos for you, like you can see here with your AI agents, right? So for example, I can get Hermes to create videos directly using this process. The other cool thing about this is that we can view everything in one place. We can preview it. We can switch between different styles, different avatars, different prompts, etc. Right, and it's all inside one place. And that sits alongside Hermes over here. If I need to chat with it, we even have an extra studio over here with Grok as well. And then we have Hermes and Gemini and Antigravity and free Claude Code, OpenClaw, and Claude. The other amazing thing about this as well is with this video agent, it doesn't just have to be Hermes, right? You could plug this into, for example, any AI agent that you actually use. And so today, I'm going to talk you through the framework that I call the Goldie Vision Forge system. And basically, this is a new Hermes video agent that can turn one prompt into an amazing finished video like I've shown you today, right? And so what we've got is hyperframes and my AI avatar wired into the agent operating system so that you can type the idea, pick the avatar, and then you can go from there, right? And it's all inside one place, which is pretty amazing. So you can really unlock the full power of Hermes Agent. And bear in mind, like, look at the difference here, right? This is pretty wild as well. So, for example, if we look at the difference between what we've created, so let me show you an example, right? This is the system that we have set up over here, right? So it's looking really cool, pretty cool system. As you can see, fully edited videos, ready to preview, everything in one place. Looks awesome, right? And we can switch between tabs, and it's basically like a SaaS tool that we've created here. Now look at the difference between that and using just Hermes regularly inside your terminal, right? So huge difference, right? Like, you can't preview anything, you can't watch anything that you've created. Huge difference, right? And so that's why I recommend setting up this system, which is what I'm going to show you in a second. And then we'll go from there. All right. And if you have any questions as we go along, like, feel free to ask. So let's talk about, why I built this and the story that really got me here. So previously, like, making videos is time consuming, is quite arduous to switch between different tools, different AI avatar tools to create videos, etc. And also you'd have like 3 different tools that would do this. Plus, you need to manage a team who would actually edit the videos for you, right? So the reason that I created this beautiful system right here to generate all of these awesome processes, like you can see, is because I just wanted to save time, and I wanted something easy that doesn't require a massive team and lots of resources. And so I wired the Hermes video agent into our agent operating system. And now I can just, as you can see right here, if we open this up as an example, we can go to video on this tab, and we can just create videos like that, right? Super simple. And so I can just open the video tab inside agent operating system, type one prompt, pick the avatar, pick the voice, boom, we go off, right? And then within minutes, we've got a new video ready to go. And we can actually create the animated videos for free, right? So if you're creating something like this, as you can see, you can do this for free with your AI agent. And the cool thing about this is, some people say it's not free, but Hermes Agent is a free open source project. Hyperframes is a free skill you can use. You can always build your own agent operating system like this using Hermes Agent. And so everything is free, right? You can have this too, right? Same agent, same setup, same dashboard, etc. Right. And the cool thing about this is I've seen like loads of people winning with this. I mean, you can see Dr. John Meza here as an example. He built out his own agent operating system. You can see Ross is crushing it here with AI. Like, loads of people are getting awesome results. Russell is getting awesome results with videos and AI as well. So much cool stuff right there, right? And so I've shown you proof, shown you real examples, shown you real videos as well. I'm going to show you exactly how I wired the new Hermes agent into agent operating system. But if you're watching this, just promise yourself one thing, that you're going to finish this guide and that you're actually going to set this up, because the moment you set this up, you can see how powerful it is, right? It's a great system to set up. And if you create it today and set it up today, it's going to be one of those things where you look back in 6 months, you're like, wow, that was a day I really figured out how to use AI agents. And so what I'm going to show you today is a 5-step process called Goldie Vision Forge, right? And so it's basically like 5 stations that turn one prompt into a finished video using AI agents. And the great thing about this as well is, like, you don't have to think about them when you're working. This whole setup does it all for you, but understanding the path is how you can get the most out of it. So that's what I'm going to show you, right? And so there's 5 layers to this. Layer number 1 is basically the idea, right? So you can type what you want. So I can go into the create section here. I can type exactly what I want, or I can go inside the avatar section, type what I want, and then we can go from there, right? That is step number 1. Then you can pick your avatar, right? So you can pick the avatar once, pick the voice once, and after that, it's already loaded in, right? So this system is ready to go whenever I need it, which is great, and we can search between avatars, we can search between voices, we've got different options, as you can see right here, and that's pretty powerful. Then we have the frame, and this is Hyperframes that we're using, right? Which is an open source CLI. So it can turn ideas into videos. So the way that we've actually got for example, these videos edited, like you can see here, the way that we can edit those videos and create such amazing outputs is because we're using Hermes agent as a video agent to create this, right? And so that's what's working right here. From there, you put it all together. So you've got the avatar and everything else edited. You can walk away from your AI agent, come back to a finished video. And then, the final step is that it all saves inside your workspace. So whatever you've created with your AI agent, you can come back to it later, as you can see right here, which is really powerful stuff. And so this AI video agent Hermes can live as a video tab inside the agent operating system. And then you've got 3 different options, right? Create, avatar, and workspace. So you can type a prompt, create a video, right? And there's going to be some people thinking, well, there's no way you can generate videos for free. But actually, it's because we're using Hyperframes, right? Which is a CLI tool. It's a free open source project. And so it can turn HTML into video just from a single prompt, which is really, really cool. And here's the difference, right? So you can be, this is the crazy thing. It's like you can be the same person with the same goal, but you'll get 2 totally, completely different workflows depending on how you use this, right? So the old way was, for example, you would get different tools and then you're writing the scripts, you're making the avatar in a different tool, you're editing everything differently. Maybe you're hiring a team to get a lot of this done for you. And then every time you create a video, like you start the same loop over and over again. Very resource and time intensive and energy intensive too. The new way with the Hermes video agent setup is basically you got one tab, right? Everything is here, ready to go. You got the avatar and the voice set up, ready to go, as you can see over here. You have Hyperframe CLI plugged in as well. The outputs save inside the workspace section, so I can come back and just see whatever I've built and preview it over here, which is pretty awesome. So I can see everything that I've created. And then everything plays in one place. And also the cool thing about having an agent operating system like this, and you can build this out yourself, you just ask Hermes to do it, is like you have one dashboard that runs Claude, Codex, Antigravity, OpenClaw as well. And you don't need to switch between tabs or switch between context, right? And also your agents can run fully autonomously. Like for example, if I go to the Kanban section, as you can see here, when I drop in a task here, it just runs through, assigns all my tasks to my agents, and then puts it in the complete tab. Right. So you can have your AI agents just go off and work autonomously on long horizon tasks, completely in the background. So that's pretty cool. And also you can go from like one prompt to a finished video, right? You can see plenty of examples of that. If we go back to the video tab here, we click on create, and then we can see examples of what we've built, like you can see, right? And you can see the prompt here, and then you can see the output here, which is pretty amazing. Now, you might say, okay, why does this matter to you? Well, you basically save a lot of time and you close the gap between I have an idea and I have a finished video, right? You can generate this with AI very quickly. Other people are going to say, well, I don't really get results specific enough, but actually Hermes is doing the prompting for you, right? So Hermes is controlling the AI agents and hyperframes for you, so it can get this all done without you being there, which is pretty amazing as well. And also, the main thing I would say here is like you don't need to. You've got your workflow ready to go anytime you need to generate anything, right? So if I'm like, okay, I need to quickly create a video, no problem, right? I just go inside this avatar section here, plug in the prompt, and then we can go off from there, right? It's super simple. Other people say, AI avatars, they don't look that realistic, but you can see like these genuinely look like me, right? We're at the point now where it's very difficult to really see the differences here. Is really crazy. And so the other cool thing about this as well is like every video stays in view. So when you've got this workspace, you can see what you've built, everything is ready to go. You don't need to hunt through the downloads folder for that video you made last week. You've got everything in one workspace. which means you have a complete history of every video you've ever made and it's searchable forever. And also, this is really good for social media content, right? So let me show you an example of this. So you can see, for example, that if we plug in this keyword here on Google, you can see us ranking on Google here as well. So it's great for SEO. And you can also see another post that we've created over here, right? And that's ranking on Google as well, right? And so we're ranking multiple times for the same keyword using this whole process, which is pretty amazing when you think about that. So that's basically it. That's the whole system. The other cool thing about this as well is like you have a shared memory. So for example, when you ask the video agent for a video, it's got the memory and understands you, right? It understands what's happened before, understands your whole knowledge system because we've built in this memory with Obsidian into the whole process. And so if you attach Obsidian in a memory system, I call it the infinite context engine. If you attach this to your AI agents, then it understands you, understands what you're working on, understands previous context, understands, what I've been working on yesterday. And so the outputs for the actual AI videos are going to be much better as well. And that's a great thing about this as well. And also, you can just access everything in one tab. So you can just go straight to, for example, Hermes like so. You go to the workspace, everything's there, right? Want to go to the video section? No problem. Let's go to the videos over here, right? And so that's a benefit of setting this up. Also, this gets better every time you use it because you tweak it, you improve it, you set up new improvements, etc. And also, the cool thing about all of this is you can run it for free, right? You can have Hermes Agent, which is free and open source. You've got the API plugged into Hermes from OpenRouter, which is our alpha. That's a free API you can plug into Hermes. And then also you have Hyperframes, which is a free CLI as well, right? So this is the cool thing about all of this. And so the video agent is the engine, and the agent operating system is what turns the engine into a vehicle. Now, some people say, why would you have an operating system instead of a whole dashboard? I mean, you can do that, but the problem is that without the shared memory layer inside your operating system, it's going to be difficult because every time you use your AI agents, they're not going to have any context, right? And also, if you don't have the workspace section here, you're just going to lose everything that you've created because you won't know where it is. It's all going to be scattered around, right? Also, the other cool thing is like with Hermes particularly, they have a new goal mode that allows it to run autonomously. And so without that goal mode, you're going to have to like go back and forth with the agent directly, which is going to take a lot of time. And so if you want to unlock like the full power of Hermes agent, definitely set up a system like this with a beautiful UI and everything else. Now, I've shown you how to use it, shown you how to set up, how it works, etc., why it's so powerful. There might be some beliefs that are holding you back. So some people, for example, will say, well, making video is too time consuming, right? But actually, you would spend a lot of time if you're using different tools together, right? And different prompts and everything like that. Because that was really the friction before, was like the friction between the tools. But now, with this setup, the time per video reduces. So you spend more time deciding what to make than actually making it because Hermes is making the videos for you. Right? Other people say, well, AI videos aren't very good, but I've shown you proof that actually a lot of these videos look awesome, right? Like they look really, really cool. And the way they're created is just, it looks great. Here's an example. So you can see how this looks. This can also have sound over the top or text to speech as well. So, I mean, the videos themselves look great, right? Really easy to set up as well. And then also some people say free video doesn't look good, but I've actually shown you how powerful and how cool this looks, right? And look at that. I mean, just like even the design and everything else, it looks beautiful. So just to recap, in terms of what you learned today, you learned how to automate videos with Hermes Agent, how to make sure you keep everything in one place, how to make sure that you have it all organized, how to make sure that your AI agents work autonomously with the goal mode, and then also how to plug this in with Hyperframes and CLI, right? Now, if you want to create your own version of this, you could go into, for example, Hermes, and you could just ask it to build out the agent operating system for you. If you want my full operating system, you can get all of my agent operating system stack along with the Hermes video agent inside the AI Profit Boardroom community, right? And you get the full setup, the install, the weekly coaching calls in the community who are already using this, right? So inside there, we actually have a full setup guide on Hyperframes CLI, my AI avatar setup as well, the full agent operating system section, a 30-day social media roadmap, weekly live coaching calls, 3,000 members in there as well. And this is all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com to get access. So inside the community, you can ask questions, get help, get support whenever you need to. Inside the classroom, you can see all of my new daily trainings. If you want to get the agent operating system, it's pinned at the top here. You can see when it was last updated, so you know you're getting the latest version. And then also you can see the zip file right here for using the agent operating system. And we have a video tutorial walking you through. Plus, you get all of my other new daily trainings as well, which is great as well. All right, so we're always adding new updates to this stuff too. If you want to get weekly coaching calls, you can jump inside the calendar here. We have 4 weekly coaching calls, so you can jump on those, ask questions, get help and support in real time, meet the community, etc. Inside the map, you can meet people in your local city who are using AI agents just like you. This is all available. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Today, I'm going to show you how I rank #1 with Hermes AI agent. You can see an example of us ranking right here 2 different times, and also over here with another piece of our content. You can also see the website that we've grown using this sort of process. So you can see the trajectory here and how this website has grown so much. It was previously at like 3 clicks a day, and now it's grown to 179 clicks per day using the process I'm about to show you, right? So today, I'm going to show you how I rank #1 across Google and every AI search engine as well. And so this is a really powerful system because Hermes can create blog posts, it can create social media content, and it can also create videos for you, right? And so it can rank inside Google, it can rank inside AI views and everywhere else, right? And basically you plug in one single keyword into this process, and then you can rank multiple times like you can see, right? And this is a really powerful system. So I'm going to talk you through why I set this up and how it's set up and why we're using it and what the difference was, right? So before, SEO was a bit of a nightmare, right? Like you'd have to write blog posts, and then sometimes it wouldn't rank, you wouldn't get any traffic, you wouldn't get any rankings. Then you have to set up all these different SEO tools. And then, the problem was as well that if something didn't rank, it didn't rank anywhere, right? And then also nothing is linked. There's no ecosystem, right? So for example, what we have now is like everything linked in one place. So like even for example, for my websites, I can just manage them in one place, like you can see here using this SEO process, right? Much easier. And so what I've actually done is wired Hermes agent into an agent operating system and then rebuilt the whole SEO process. So now I can run one source or one idea through Hermes. It can create blog posts, it can create videos. All of them can rank very quickly, as I've already shown you. And also Google AI overviews will rank us as well, right? So let's have an example of this. So you can see, for example, we're ranking over here as well using this same process I'm about to show you. And the other cool thing about this as well is like Hermes Agent is free, and you can plug in a free API into Hermes Agent as well. So you can have like the same process. And even if you want like the dashboard as well, you could ask Hermes to build that out for you, right? And it can create cool stuff like that. So there's lots of people I've seen who are creating agent operating systems and setups like this, and it works. That's the cool thing about all of this, right? So I've shown you the proof, shown that it actually works. I'm going to show you how I actually built it and put it all together in a minute. But if you're reading this, or if you're watching this, I would recommend that you start setting this up ASAP, right? Because the people ranking today and the people who start using this today are really going to benefit from this in like 3 or 6 months. So, the earlier you start, the better is what I would say here. And I call this the Goldie Omni Rank Stack, right? And it's 5 different ways of ranking content, right? And then everything stacks together, right? Different layers working together. And so the foundation is that Hermes can actually come up with the keywords so that you stop guessing what to write and you start competing for keywords using the strategies that Hermes actually gives you, right? So I'll give you an example of this. If we go into Hermes here, right, because it's connected to my memory system, so because it's connected to Obsidian, it has a lot of context on me. What it can actually do here is it can find relevant keywords for me. So I said, based on my Obsidian vault, what keywords would be good for AI SEO, right? And then it comes up with a bunch of keywords right here. So that's layer number 1, which is that Hermes can actually find the foundation for you, right? It can find one idea for you. And then once it's done that, you can actually create content in multiple different formats, right? So you can actually get Hermes Agent to, for example, create blog posts like you can see over here. So if we look at some example blog posts that Hermes has generated, you can see they're beautifully formatted, easy to set up, better than I would probably write them, right? And optimize for conversions as well, right? Which is exactly what we want. That's how we can create content across multiple different websites. At the same time, we can also generate videos, right? So if we have a look at this, for example, this is a video that we can generate with Hermes Video Agent, which is pretty cool too. And then additionally, if we want to, for example, generate images that also rank, so let me show you an example of that. So you can see us ranking with our images here too, right? Then you can actually generate images using Hermes over here too, right? And then you can basically create multiple different formats of content and rank those across AI and everywhere else. And so the other cool thing about this is that if you create multiple pieces of content, like I've shown you, AI search engines will reference you. Google AI Overviews, Perplexity, Google AI Mode, other AI search engines, they will start citing you because you're creating content across multiple different platforms, right? So as an example of that, if you go into Perplexity here, let's have a look and find an example. So you can see here that inside Perplexity, it says, best if you want a community. And here we are, right? So you can actually, it actually mentions us multiple times inside this answer. And actually, the top one that it recommends is the AI profit boarding, right? And so you can rank inside Perplexity and other AI search engines using this process. And the other cool thing about this as well is like, this improves over time, right? So first day you create content, great, it starts to rank. But then what happens if you have 5 or 10 or 15 different pieces of, let's say you got 5 or 10 or 15 different blogs that are all ranking for different keywords, right? Is that going to help you? 100%. And so that's all how this whole system works. That's what we're creating right here, right? And you can see an example of us ranking right here. And this actually ranked within 5 hours, which is pretty crazy. Here's another example. So this is a keyword inside Perplexity, and you can see us ranking over here, right? And so you can use one Hermes agent session, create multiple pieces of content, and then rank multiple times, right? And so the way that I see this is like there's an old way and a new way. The old SEO game was about like one single page. The new game is about creating content across multiple different platforms, becoming omnipresent. This is why it's called the omni rank system. And then you've got multiple chances of ranking, right? Now, some people say, well, that's good for you, Julian. What about everyone else? Well, we've actually got members inside the AI Profit Boarding who are SEOs using the same sort of process, and it's working for them too, right? And so let's talk about the old way versus the new way, because you could be running you could have the same goal, but if you approach it in two different ways, you'll get two different results, right? So the old way, for example, is like you would use loads of different tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush. I used to have subscriptions to all of those, right, back in the day. And then you would pick a keyword and just guess whether you can actually rank for it. You might write like one single blog post on one single website with one chance to rank, right? Then you wait like 3 to 6 months to find out if Google actually picks it up. If it doesn't rank, then you rewrite or you hire someone else to write it for you, right? If it does rank, then you're still missing out on like AI views or AI mode or uh, those sort of things. And each time, if you hire someone to do this for you, if you've got an agent, usually people would start from zero, right? With no improvements over time. And the result with this is like it can be, it takes a lot of energy and time. It's a slow feedback loop. You have a single point of failure because you're only ranking on one website. And also, there's no AI search visibility with the old way, right? That's single platform SEO. The new way is the Omni Rank Stack, which we're using right here, and we've built it into an agent operating system, right? And so Hermes can pick a keyword that you can actually rank for given your existing authority because it knows your authority from Obsidian, right? It's got that memory built in. And then you can have one single idea, right, for the keyword that Hermes has given you, but you can create content across multiple different platforms, right? So you could create videos, you could create images, you could create infographics, you could create podcasts, all using this system. And then you can rank very quickly. I mean, I showed you an example before of how we ranked within 5 hours using this same process. And the other cool thing about this as well is like it's free, right? Like Hermes can do the keyword research, the writing, and Hermes Agent is free and open source to use. So with one prompt, you can rank multiple times and you can create content. Right? That's what we're talking about. It's a lot faster. And also you don't need to have like a big fancy team or anything like that. And so the other cool thing about this as well is like when you build this properly, like for example, if you build in the memory system like we're seeing today, right? Then the great thing about that is that you stop going after keywords you can't rank for, and Hermes understands your authority, right? It understands what you've already done with Hermes because it has a memory of all the content you've created because it's creating all the content for you, right? It has a lot of context. And so it understands, okay, based on your current authority, how likely are you to rank for this other keyword and what are the best next keywords to go after, right? So it can pick the best keywords for you because it's all personalized to you. And also when it's writing the content, particularly for SEO, it's going to structure it properly, right? With schema, with H2s, with everything else. We've got a question here from Cal, which is, I love the way you explain things. If you want to get in touch with me, feel free to join the AI Profit Boardroom. That's the best place to contact me. So you can direct message me inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And then, when you're using this whole process, you can have a piece of content that's ranking inside Google and AI search engines and everything else, right? Really powerful stuff. And if I ever want to create content, let's say I've got a bunch of keywords here, I can just go to SEO, plug in the keyword, plug in the case study, hit generate, and then that'll deploy that to 5 different websites, right? All unique, all written carefully, and all written by my AI agent, which is super powerful stuff. Right? Now, some people say, well, AI content isn't very good. Actually, if it's structured, if it's sourced, if it's original content and unique and well written, then Google actually likes that content. I showed you the example before. Let me pull that up again. Right, so you can see an example of how Google likes our content right here. It works really well, right? We took this website from 3 clicks a day all the way up to 180 clicks per day with SEO, and that is growing over time, right? The trajectory is awesome. And so this is a process that works, and Google likes the content as long as it's written in the right way, as long as it's structured with the right workflow, and as long as it's unique, right? If you look at the content that we create, for example, like this one, we use case studies and unique information to make it as good as it possibly can be. We structure it beautifully so that it's easy to read, it's nicely formatted, and it's really better optimized than most humans could do, right? So that's what we're talking about here. Now, also, the other thing here is like some people say, well, should you post across multiple platforms? Definitely, as long as you're creating content that's uniquely formatted for each platform, right? So, for example, if we create a blog, that's going to be totally differently formatted to any sort of podcast we create, right? Because for every platform, we have to format the content differently and make it unique, right? And useful for the people on that platform. So that's the way you want to look at it, right? And also the cool thing about this as well is like you could post on somewhere like Reddit and community posts rank really well as well, right? Let me show you an example of that. So here's an example subreddit that we've set up. And if we check its rankings on Ahrefs here, when we're creating content that's uniquely formatted for other platforms too, you can see how it ranks, right? It's got to 10,000 organic traffic, and it's also ranking inside AI overviews as well. Right? So you can see the trajectory here too is pretty amazing. And again, we're just using that system that I've shown you with Hermes Agent to rank this content, which is what we want. Now, also some people say, well, if I have a community, they're not going to like that. The whole point of this is like it has to feel natural for the platform and it has to feel useful, right? So if you look at this post, for example, it's nicely formatted, easy to read through, easy to scan, useful for the people reading it, answers all the FAQs, etc. Right? And so that's what you want. I mean, that's why we've got so many people who've joined the subreddit here, right? Because it's actually useful. People find it interesting. If you look at the actual trajectory and the growth of this community, like it's growing nicely over time. Why is that? It's because people actually find it useful. People actually like this stuff. Why is that? It's because we're actually creating unique content that helps people. And that's what the game is about. And also, when you're doing this as well, if you're posting on, for example, like Reddit or LinkedIn and that sort of thing, AI search engines cite you, right? So, for example, I've talked about Perplexity, AI overviews, Google AI mode, etc., ranking us. This is really powerful as well, right? And the other thing that I would say here is like if you look even the way that Google prioritizes AI search mode, right? So if we type in a keyword like this, for example, right, and you see how we're ranking with our content here. If you look at this post, Google is prioritizing AI mode and thinks people want that rather than like traditional AI search, right? And so you want to make sure that you're focused on ranking inside AI search engines as well, because that's what Google is prioritizing now, right? And if you look at the future, that's only going to grow more. Also, some people say, well, AI overviews are taking away SEO traffic. Actually, no, right? More people, Google actually announced this at Google I/O last week. More people are searching more than ever before because AI mode is so useful, right? It gives you better answers than normal AI. It gives you better answers than the normal version of Google, right? And that's why Google is doing so well right now because they've created something that's actually very, very useful using AI. And so, the more useful it becomes, the more powerful it becomes to rank inside AI search engines. By the way, if you want our full system, you can do this all with Hermes, as I mentioned before, right? You can set this up. You can ask Hermes to set it up. I've shown you how to set up Obsidian with Hermes and everything else. If you want my full system with the UI and everything else like that, you can get the full Omni rank stack and agent operating system set up, ready-made inside the AI Profitable for you, right? And we actually have the SEO tab set up inside there, so you can pick the keyword, set up the case study, and then create the content. You also get all of my best prompts for Hermes, and you get the 30-day roadmap for implementing this and the zip file for the agent operating system. So that's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description or go to the AIProfitboardroom.com. Now, also some people say, well, why would you not use the terminal for this, right? So you can use, for example, Hermes inside the terminal like this, right? And you can run Hermes like so. You just type in Hermes inside the terminal once you've installed it. But the problem is, where's the memory? Where's the context? Where's the outputs you've created, right? If I want to check my SEO content, I can go to this section. I can see all my history. If I want to know what's going on with my agent, I can check all the skills and everything else over here. Perfect, right? But if you actually go inside the terminal here, very difficult to manage, very difficult to see the history, very difficult to see anything you've created. You're just going to lose everything, right? And so that's why you want a nice agent operating system. And if you want Hermes to actually build that for you, you can ask it directly, hey, create an agent operating system for SEO, blah, 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 right? And so that way, if you have an agent operating system, you've got shared memory across every agent. So when Hermes drafts your content, it's going to pull from the Obsidian vault and the memory that you have. So it understands your brand voice, all the information about you, how you speak, your existing content. And so the output is actually grounded in who you actually are, right? It doesn't sound generic unlike using something like ChatGPT or Claude. And then also the great thing about this is you have one dashboard for the whole pipeline, right? So for example, if we have the whole pipeline over here for blog posts, put in the keyword, put in the case study, hit deploy, boom, right? It's all there. If we want to rank videos and create videos, we can go to the video section here, put in the prompt, generate the content, and it's all waiting right over here, right? So that's the system. And that way as well, when you have everything inside one dashboard, you start managing the tools and you start running a system, and that's a completely different game. That's how you level up. So yeah, and also as well, you can always search across what you've created previously as well. And Hermes tracks what you've created inside Obsidian because it's writing the notes for you automatically as well. Right. And also when you're doing this, again, like creating blogs with Hermes is free because you're going to plug in a free API like OpenRouter, our alpha inside there. And then you can create videos using Hyperframes, which is a free open source CLI as well. And so like you can create content for free, right? Hermes agent is the engine. And then if you set it up inside an agent operating system, you can turn the engine into a ranking system. Now, some people watch this and think like, oh, do you know what? I'll just use ChatGPT to write my SEO content. You can, but you'll be writing single pieces on one platform with no shared memory and no improvements. So for example, every time I use the agent operating system, I can improve it every time I use it, right? Whereas, for example, if you're just using ChatGPT, it doesn't get better the more you use it. Sometimes it gets worse, you know? So you want like a positive feedback loop in everything that you do. That's how you can keep improving every single day. And so the Omni rank stack works because it's not just creating content, but it's also selecting the keywords. It's writing the content. It can distribute it and deploy it to our websites, right? And so ChatGPT alone would give you like one step, but the agent operating system gives you the whole stack. And so you go from like just prompting an AI to running an SEO machine. And that's a totally different game. Now, again, some people say, well, AI means the end of SEO. There's no point ranking anymore. Some people say that, right? But actually, if you look, more people are searching than ever before, especially in Google, because AI is making search better, right? AI is improving search and the results, and it also becomes more interesting to use AI. So that's why it's changed so much. Other people say, well, posting multiple pieces of content is too much work for one person. It was before, right? Before Hermes and agent operating system, one person manually creating content, that's very, very resource intensive. But if you've got Hermes agent that's creating all your content for you, then you just review it once and it does everything else for you, right? It saves a lot of time. And then also other people say, well, you can't rank for free. But actually, if you're using like paid tools, quite often they were built to tell you which keywords to write about, but Hermes can do that and also then create the content for you and everything else, right? So before, the pay tool was the bottleneck, but now using this system, you can speed up a lot faster, right? And if you're wondering, okay, like, does this, that's great for you, Julian, that works for you, blah, blah, blah. What about everyone else? You can see all the testimonials we have right here, right? So many people winning with AI simply because they're using the right systems. They're getting this stuff in place. So it's so cool to see like so many people who've never used AI before get results because they learn how to use this stuff properly. And so the old game was a page. The new way is creating this Omni ranking stack, right? And you know the engine to create it. So just to recap in terms of what you learned today, you learned how to use Hermes agent for free for SEO, right? You learned how to give Hermes a memory so that it can pick keywords you could actually rank for. You learned how to create content across multiple different platforms. You learned how to stop fearing AI search because you know AI search is actually a good opportunity. Right? You stopped reformatting everything because Hermes does that for you. And you stopped starting from zero of ChatGPT because now every piece of content you create is a new improvement in the system, right? And a new piece of memory that Hermes agent learns about you and who you are. And then you also learned how to rank across multiple different platforms. So, for example, how we rank with Reddit, how we rank on Google, how we rank inside AI search engines. And you learned how I've ranked my brand multiple times inside these AI search engines as well. So that's basically it. Now, if you want to build the system, you could, right? If you want to get my full system for this, you can get the full Omni rank stack and agent operating system inside the AI profitable volume. So again, Hermes is the engine, but the Omni rank stack is the multi uh, way to rank, right? So you got agent operating system, which wires all of your agents together. And inside the AI profitable volume, you get the full setup, the install, the calls, and the community already running this every day. So you get the full agent operating system with the SEO section wired in. You get the Hermes prompts, which is exactly what I use personally. You get the 30-day roadmap in terms of like how to implement this into your business, weekly live coaching calls so you can implement this yourself. And you can also connect with 3,100 other business owners who are using this stuff to grow as well, right? And there's so many cool people inside the community. You can ask questions on the weekly coaching course here. You can check out all of my new trainings. Like you can see, I actually have a full section on AI SEO automation as well, with loads of cool case studies like this. And additionally, we have the full setup for the agent operating system, which I just updated today with the new zip file and all the prompts to create it, right? So if you want that system, along with all my other core systems, you can get that inside the AI profit boardroom. And you can also connect with people inside your local area who are using AI like you, right? So you can see that locally across many different cities, we have so many different members. And the great thing is like you can connect with people doing similar things to you as well. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Today, I'm going to show you a powerful new upgrade that just came to NotebookLM. And this is a new way to set up NotebookLM so that you can get the most out of it. So the powerful thing about this is, for example, if you're using NotebookLM the old way, it's very difficult to see everything that you've created. It's very difficult to manage all of your different notebooks. And then also, if you create anything, like how do you make it better? Right. So, for example, you can generate reports, you could generate videos, you can generate audio views, etc. But how do you make that content better? Right. Well, this is what you can actually do with hyperframes, and this is a new way to take the content that you have from NotebookLM and then make it 10 times better. So you can see an example right here. This is actually a video we created with this new setup, and basically what this allows you to do is edit anything that you create with NotebookLM. And so it's a really powerful way to start using this stuff. And also it's free, right? You can use the Hermes video agent setup for free with NotebookLM. So NotebookLM is a free tool. Hermes is a free open source tool. And the Hyperframe setup that I'm talking about today is a free open source project as well. So this just bridges everything together to just make it more powerful and more useful, right? And so you can also, this is a great thing about it, is like you can have all of your NotebookLM notebooks, the audio views and the podcasts you create, all the chats, all in one place, all synced to your memory system. And then you can create whatever you want and you can organize that as well. And I'm going to talk to you about why I did this as well. So previously, like turning research into useful content was a nightmare, right? So for example, you'd have to go into NotebookLM, use different sources, hit generate, and then you get something you like, but then it just kind of sits there, right? To turn it into something else more useful, that's quite resource intensive and also very difficult to organize. So what I've actually done is I've built an agent operating system around NotebookLM, right? And this way, when I'm building this out and we're using this whole system, as you can see, number one, we've got everything organized in one place. Number two, if we need to generate anything else, for example, you can see this notebook here that we've pulled in, we can organize that like so. So we can generate whatever we want. We can generate a new video overview, or we could create a new podcast here. We could generate an infographic, etc. And it will pull it into this section. And then also, the cool thing about this as well is we can plug that into the video agent section here, right? And so the great thing about this is when we're setting this up, we've got it all organized in one place, and it's much easier to just use the stuff that we have and make it way more useful with NotebookLM, right? That's the difference. And you can see some examples like people using similar agent operating systems here. There's so much you can do with this, right? And so I've shown you the proof, but if you're thinking about this, setting this up, definitely do, because it changes your whole workflow setup, right? And it's easy to set up, and also it saves a lot of time as well. So the framework that I've created for this is something called the Goldie Knowledge Studio. And by the way, if you're watching this and you have any questions as we go along, like feel free to ask. But basically, this allows you to take like raw knowledge into powerful, ready to post content, right? And so this is like a pipeline where you use your AI agents to take the content from NotebookLM and make it 10 times better and make it 10 times more useful, right? And so how does this work? Well, there's 5 layers. Number one is the capture section here, right? And so you've got a library of notebooks like you can see over here, and these are all plugged into your agent operating system. If you don't know how to connect your AI agents to NotebookLM, you can use an MCP, right? So for example, this is a really good open source MCP that I've used previously to set this up. If you don't know how to build like a nice UI like this, you literally just ask your agent to build it for you, right? So you can ask Claude or whatever you want to build this out for you. From there, you can generate the content, right? So based on that notebook you've created here, so for example, like this one, we can then go to the studio and we can generate whatever you want, right? So if we want to generate a podcast, we can select audio overview, hit generate, and then it creates a podcast for us, like you can see right here. So it's a much nicer, neater, organized workflow. And also you can customize it however you want. And you can generate like, all these different types, right? So you can see this one is working right here, but we could generate a video, or we could generate a presentation, a mind map, an infographic, a flashcard, a quiz, table, report, whatever we want using this process right here. Pretty amazing. And then from there, you can save everything automatically to your memory, right? So everything that we generate with this system actually syncs to our Obsidian Vault, right? Obsidian is a free memory system that you can use for AI agents. So you see this knowledge graph right here where everything is linked together and we've got all these notes. That's because my AI agents are taking notes on me and then exporting that to my Obsidian Vault, right? Now, Obsidian is this tool that you can see right here. You can use it for free. And also, it keeps everything organized inside a beautiful knowledge graph here. And also, my AI agents will write notes into this system daily, right? So you can see, for example, we have all these notes on my community right here. If you keep scrolling down here, we have, for example, notes on, how we use Claude and everything else. And also, it shows you where it connects to, and it tags everything and organizes it neatly too, right? So everything is just organized in one beautiful place. If we go to, for example, my agency, Goldie Agency, you can see all of the different systems and the way this is tagged into our knowledge graph right here. Right? And so anything that we create with NotebookLM also saves to the Obsidian Vault too. And then the great thing about that is that when we create content in the future, it's all inside a vault, right? So if we go back to NotebookLM over here, we check out our assets, everything is saved in one place. Beautiful. And then if we create anything, for example, like we just created that audio view, right? So if we go back to this, check out the studio, we've got that here. And once that's done, we can pull that into our vault, like you can see here, right? And that makes it much easier to organize everything and keep it in one place. And then when you're ready, you can post this content, right? So for example, if I generate an infographic or something like that, I've got it ready to go, and I can just post that to social media if I need to, right? Or if I want to. And that's a full 5-step process. Now, here's the thing that most people don't know about, and this part really matters. So NotebookLM has always been good at generating like content, but this new upgrade where you have it sit next to Hermes Video Agent inside Agent OS is what changes the workflow, right? So before, if you were just using NotebookLM directly, you might have like an audio overview or a video overview, but you never really used it, right? It was just kind of like stuck in one place. Now what you can do is you can actually edit it with hyperframes. So here's an example, right? We've got different examples right here of videos we've created with hyperframes. We've got like this video overview, and we can edit that with our AI agent to make it better, right? Way more powerful, way better setup. And so NotebookLM can create like the idea, and then the video agent turns it into something amazing. Now, some people say, I can already use NotebookLM directly. Why would I need something like this bridge that we've set up, right? Well, this is what turns it into something way more usable. So using NotebookLM alone, you generate an artifact, for example, and it just sits there, right? You'd have to manually remember where it is. Everything doesn't really sit in one place. It's very hard to organize. If you switch to ChatGPT or Claude, you're not really going to have everything linked together, right? Whereas, for example, with the agent operating system, everything is saved in one place, much easier to organize, much easier to just switch between my AI agents and have everything living next to each other, right? So OpenClaw, Claude, Hermes, everything is right there, ready to go together. And that's the cool thing about this. So let's talk about the old way versus the new way. And these are two completely different ways of doing this, right? And the old way was like you would use NotebookLM alone, right? So you'd open up NotebookLM, you might generate an audio preview, you play it once, you forget it, right? And then you kind of forget about it. You don't know where all your files live. You forget about stuff. And the problem is, like with that, you get isolated artifacts. You get everything scattered, and you don't really create anything useful, right? That you're actually going to use day to day. Whereas, for example, the new way with the knowledge system is like, number one, it's free because Hermes Agent, Hyperframes, and NotebookLM are all free. You can drop the source into NotebookLM. You can hit generate. Everything syncs inside the vault, as you can see over here. If you need to create more, you can go to the studio based on the notebook that you want to create for, as you can see here. And you can also see the status of everything. So for example, this one is in progress now. And then one click can create anything you want, right? That's a powerful thing as well. And also what we've set up here with the video agent is we actually have an AI avatar section here. All right, so we can create even more useful stuff by implementing my brand inside this as well. All right. And the result is a pipeline that flows into one place where you've got everything in one screen, all organized for free, and it's just way more powerful and useful. So, you could use this for audio views, for videos, for slide decks, mind maps, infographics, flashcards, quizzes, data tables, and reports. And, some people say, well, this might feel generic, right? Like the content that you create. But actually, if you have a way of customizing that using the video agent, then it feels a lot more like you, right? If I plug in this avatar into the system, how much better is that going to look? It's going to look 10 times better, right? Because it's unique to me, it's specific, it's more relevant to me and my brand, right? That's the difference here. And then other people say, well, I'll keep things in NotebookLM. Why would I use Obsidian? And the thing is, right, if you use NotebookLM, it doesn't really talk to your other tools, but Obsidian links to all of your AI agents. And so the whole reason for this is that Hermes Agent can organize your Obsidian Vault, And then when you plug your Obsidian Vault into any other AI agent, everything links together, right? The agents can understand your memory, your system, how it works all together, which is exactly what we want, right? So that's basically it. That's how to create everything in one place. You know, the one thing that I would say is the most powerful here is Obsidian as a memory vault, like super powerful stuff. And then also with Hermes video agent, that's really cool as well. You know, you can just create much better stuff. And when you link it to NotebookLM, and you can, generate free videos, or you can generate, for example, like this podcast here. This is way more powerful, right? Way more useful. So everything links together in a beautiful system. Josia says, "Hi, Julian. Good to see you live. Thanks very much for joining. If anyone has any questions, by the way, feel free to ask as we go along." But yeah, that is the full system. You know, you get the if you want to set this up yourself, you can. If you want to get my full setup with the agent operating system and everything else, you can get that inside the AI Profit Boarding, right? So you get the full Knowledge Studio and the Agent OS setup. So you get NotebookLM already plugged into this agent operating system. You get the Hermes video setup as well. You get the workspace memory with Obsidian. You get the 30-day playbook and everything else inside the AI Profit Boarding, right? Now, the other great thing about this is so much more useful because NotebookLM alone is useful. Having a video agent itself is useful, but when you put them in the same dashboard with shared memory and like a one-click setup, the workflow changes completely, right? It becomes way more powerful, right? Like if I just want to generate a video, how easy is that, right? Just go inside here, click generate, boom. That's how easy it is. And so there's many benefits to this. Like number one, you have a shared vault across every agent, right? Because NotebookLM is saving locally to your Obsidian file. The same with Hermes, OpenClaw, and Claude. And so you stop having to manually organize everything. Number two, you've got one dashboard with one tab, right? So Notebook sits next to video, video sits next to Studio, Studio sits next to goals. The whole pipeline runs inside one dashboard, right? So you've got goals, SEO, video, Studio, Notebook, even a Kanban board here for multiple teams of agents to put this stuff together. Additionally, as you use this system more, the better it gets, right? Because it's self-improving. If every time you use this, Hermes is in a self-improving loop, which it is, it's automatically set up to do that. And then also you're improving the system, making it better every day based on what you see. And then additionally, you're improving your memory system. Guess what? This stuff gets better and better every time you use it. Whereas if you go inside NotebookLM, but you don't have a system and you're just using the defaults, it doesn't get better every time. You have to kind of wait for Google to make it better for you. And even then, it doesn't have context on you and who you are and what you do and what you did yesterday and everything else. And again, this is all free, right? You can ask Hermes to build the agent operating system for free as a dashboard for you. You just give it the directions. Hey, Hermes, create this dashboard for me. Here's how I want it to look, blah, blah, blah. Host it locally, blah, 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 right? And then NotebookLM itself is free. The MCP to link them together is free. And Obsidian is free as well, right? So that's basically it. That's the whole setup. Now, some people say, well, NotebookLM is too basic to really create a good content system. It's basic on its own, but if you wire it into a powerful agent operating system, it's the input layer for the entire system, right? And so NotebookLM is the engine, but the dashboard is what turns it into the vehicle, right? And it's a completely different vehicle once it's plugged into the agent operating system. Other people say, well, I never use like 9 different types, right? But the thing is, you might have some podcasts you need to create, some infographics, maybe you got a slide deck to create one day. And so just having that optionality is super powerful. And then also some people say, well, AI content isn't very good. But actually, if you have the video agent plugged in, if you have your avatar plugged into the system, if you have, for example, the memory system that's unique and personalized to you, all of a sudden everything becomes less generic and more useful. And then we've got a question here, which is, do you know how to create an AI agent for free? So, I mean, there's 2 options here. So, number one, You can actually just, for example, use an open source project that's ready to go, like Hermes, as you can see, right? That's one option. And then also there's a really cool system here that I used. I've actually got a tutorial about it. And it's called Build Your Own OpenClaw, right? And so you can create your own AI agent like this as well. Again, it's open source. I think it's built using Pi, which is what OpenClaw was originally built on. And then you can customize your AI agents exactly how you want them. And then we've got a question from Don, which is, can you walk through how you have anti-gravity plugged in, right? How is that set up? So anti-gravity is actually plugged in to the agent operating system without going off on a crazy tangent. It's plugged into the agent operating system using CLI, right? So if you have a CLI is basically like a terminal that you can talk to your AI agents with. Google just released Antigravity CLI, and that's how you can get this plugged into the system, right? So if we wanted Hermes to build out an agent operating dashboard like this, we'd ask it inside the chat. If we wanted to add anti-gravity, we'd give it the CLI details and ask it to add anti-gravity as a CLI inside there. Can you do a tutorial on how to use Obsidian? Yeah, so I actually have that over here. If you go to the classroom inside the AI Profit Boardroom, and then you go to the infinite context engine, this is the full system that we've used, right? So if we've got a full video tutorial walking you through, and basically it's a combination of three tools, right? So we have Obsidian, and then we have, we've got Obsidian, and then we have Omi, and then we have that link to our AI agents, and that's how it all works together. Matt says hi, good to see you. And then we've got another question from Don, which is, I hear Google is about to stop the CLI. So basically what they're doing is they're switching Google Gemini CLI to Antigravity CLI, right? And then Antigravity will be their main coding agent. So it's not like you're losing access to the CLI. It's just switching from Gemini, which it was previously. And then on June the 18th, it'll be fully phased out and it'll switch fully to Antigravity. So that's why I've set up Antigravity now because, it's less than a month away and we want to get that set up right away, right? So that's basically it. And that's the whole system. Just to recap on what you've learned today, right? So you learned how to connect NotebookLM and Hermes for free. You learned how to set up a whole system that you don't need to keep re-explaining to. You learned how to organize all your files and all your outputs into one nice place, one nice dashboard. You learned how to create the video agent too using hyperframes. So you get Hermes agents set up hyperframes for you. You learned how to organize it locally, and then you learned how to link it to your memory system as well, right? So if you want to get the full knowledge system from me, NotebookLM is the engine, the Hermes video agent is the vehicle, agent operating system is what turns it into a full studio that you can live inside, and all your agents can live inside as well, right? Now, inside the AI Profit Boardroom, you get the full setup, the install, the coaching calls, the community, and also access to me as well. So you can DM me and ask me for advice anytime. So inside there, you get the full agent operating system install. So you get Notebook, LM, and everything else set up, right? If you actually go to the agent operating system here, inside the AI Profit Boardroom, you can see we have a full video tutorial, the last updated date, and a full zip file on how to set this up with your AI agents. You also get the NotebookLM system, the Hermes video agent we've built inside it, a 30-day playbook on exactly how to implement this, weekly live coaching calls where you can jump on those calls, ask questions, meet the community, share your screen, etc. And we have 3,100 members inside here, right? So there's loads of cool people you can connect with. You can ask questions inside the community. I answer questions inside there every day. And then inside the classroom, you can also check out all of my new trainings and learnings on the calendar. You can actually jump on those coaching calls, as I mentioned a second ago. And also, inside the map, you can actually connect with people in your local city who are building AI agents and AI automations just like you are, right? So you can see like all over here, we have people in pretty much all the main cities that you can connect with locally who are building AI agents like you. So thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you on the next one. And cheers. Bye-bye. Today, I'm going to be running through the latest questions. I've been getting loads of questions about Hermes and everything else and agent operating systems and, of course, sorts of stuff like that. So what I actually do is answer the questions inside the community on tutorials like this so I can help as many people as I can, because I know if they have these questions, you probably have these questions. And so you're probably wondering, okay, like, how do I implement this stuff, right? And so, for example, Ali posted they actually got his first agent operating system set up right now. If you don't know what an agent operating system is, this is basically an example. So you have all your agents set up in one place, all organized. You can, for example, have common workflows like you can see over here. And basically, the whole point of this is that you create everything in an organized mission control so that you can control all of your AI agents, sync them together, get them working together, right? And so Ali actually set up his, which is pretty amazing. The other cool thing about this is, if you've never used this before, is like you can, if you have a new idea for a workflow, you can set it up, right? So, for example, we had this idea for a video agent this morning, and we set it up and created this workflow right here. And then you can see some of the outputs over here, right? Like it's pretty amazing for doing this sort of stuff. And you can see an example of what we created using this process. And so, one of the other things that Ali recommended, and this is a great tip for anyone watching, is like if you're using, for example, Hermes agent, always have a memory layer, right? How do you set up a memory layer? You want to organize all of the notes about you and yourself and how it works, etc., inside a beautiful knowledge graph like this, right? How do we do that? We use something like Obsidian, right? Obsidian is a great way for your AI agents to connect locally to a memory, take notes on you all day, export that to Obsidian. And then the cool thing about that is, number one, your AI agents have a lot of memory about you, which means you'll get more relevant outputs. So, for example, if I ask Hermes about keyword research, it will give me relevant keywords to me, right? But number two, when you're doing this, your agents can update and organize it for you, right? You shouldn't be organizing this yourself. Your agent should be doing it for you. That's the whole point. And that's what saves you a lot of time. So, great tip and well done to Ali. Absolutely awesome stuff. The other cool thing I would say about all of this is, like, when you're doing this, right, you will find new improvements and you're like, oh, I want to set that up. And then it continuously improves every single day. The other thing I would say is, like, I regret not setting this up sooner. I'm like, why didn't I set this up in January? Why didn't I set this up in February, etc. Right? So the sooner you set this up, the better, because it's going to save you a lot of time and keep everything way more organized and way more fun, right? And then we've got questions here, like, for example, can an agent operating system operate like Paperclip? Yeah, for sure. The thing that I actually found with Paperclip, this is why I don't use it so much anymore, is like it was quite buggy when it linked to Hermes Agent. And Hermes Agent is probably the best AI agent in the world right now, right? And so if I can't link it properly, if it's quite buggy, I might as well create my own. And so that's what I did here. But yeah, for sure. I mean, like, the main benefit of Paperclip is that you have a whole team of agents working together. And so that's what we have inside the Kanban board with Hermes Agent. So I can drop a task in here, my whole team goes off and completes it, and we've got it all ready to go, right? And then also I can plug in more agents as we go along, as things evolve, as you can see. And also the difference between this and something like Paperclip is, like, I can plug in custom workflows, right? So whatever I'm working on day to day, I can add a beautiful workflow into that. It takes me a few minutes. Thanks everyone for watching. All right. If you have any more questions as we go along, by the way, feel free to ask. So we've got another question here, which is, is there a way to implement an awesome agent operating system for Hermes running on a VPS, right? On a virtual private server? So you can, for sure. I mean, we've actually got an example of that from Dr. John Meza, right? So Dr. John, he did exactly the same. So he actually built the whole agent operating system on a VPS, right? And he deployed it on something called Hostinger. So if you're wondering about this, yes, you can. The way that this can work is, like, you can use Hostinger with a VPS with Cloudflare, right? You can use Cloudflare Tunnel, Cloudflare Access, and then you can access your agent operating system from any device, right? Which is pretty cool as well. And so here's an example of this loaded. He can access it from anywhere, and yeah, that's a really powerful way of using this. Again, if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to ask, and I'm happy to help you. And then what we do, each time I answer one of these questions is like I link to the tutorial and then I give you like the too long didn't read section here, right? So that way we answer your questions. Eamon only asked this 14 hours ago. We've already answered him. And then also the cool thing about this as well is like, the whole community is helping each other as well, right? And like, for example, John solves this problem that Eamon had. And so like we all help each other and we learn and we grow together, which I absolutely love as well. Next up, we got another question here, which is from Omar, right? And so Omar was asking, like, I have a question about the file section in Hermes Workspace. Is it meant for storing files that you're currently working on or that sort of thing? So if this is for Hermes Workspace itself, what I like to do, and this is the way that I like to organize it, is like anything that I've created previously. So the way that I like to organize is anything I've created previously with Hermes Agent, I will store inside the workspace. And the great thing about that is that it's very easy to come back to anything that I've built. Because, for example, otherwise what's going to happen is you create cool stuff. For example, that could be a video or podcast, it could be an image, it could be an app, it could be a website, and then you forget it's there. And so what you want is like a way to organize your workspace so that you have your apps, your videos, your images grouped into different buckets, so it's very easy to organize and come back to things later. Otherwise, you will lose track and it'll be very difficult to track everything. And then if you want to see your skills, what I do is I have that inside the control room here, right? So I can look at my skills, I can look at the status of everything, and it's just much easier to organize. And then also, Omar was asking, like, if you wanted to continue using stuff that you've created locally, can you use the same chat? Yeah, you don't need to create a new chat session, right? You can just organize it in one place. Let's see what questions we got now as well. So Noel says, hello, I'm new here. Yeah, welcome here. And then we've got another question, which is actually the information. So your workflows can be set up to run a set number of tasks. Yeah, I don't know what you want clarification on there, but yeah, if like whatever you want to set up or implement, you can, right? So if you want to get Hermes to work on something, you've got it over here, right? If you want Gemini to work on something, you can. And then if you have a big task, like a big project, what you do is you plug in a task over inside the Kanban board, right? And from there, your orchestration agent will triage it and turn it into subtasks that get completed later, right? So we might say like create a website, and then it'll break it down into like design the UI and come up with the keyword strategy and start writing the blog content, etc. Right? And so that's how you can delegate big tasks into small ones automatically and get them done by your AI agents. Yeah. So if you wanted to set this up, what you can do is you can, if you wanted, for example, like Telegram to sync with Obsidian, the memory, then what you do is you've got two options, right? So if you're running Hermes locally, then you can just ask Hermes locally to sync to Obsidian and use Obsidian as a memory, right? And then that'll work inside Telegram as well. So it can use the information from Obsidian and work inside Telegram. The other option that you have, if you don't want to do that, or if you're storing everything in the cloud, is that you can use the Obsidian MCP, and you link the Obsidian MCP to Hermes agent, and then it'll work on Telegram as well. Claude says, appreciate, love your videos. Thank you very much, sir. Good to see you. How do you handle context? So for that, like what you can do is start a new session, right? So if you do like /new or /compact, that's how you can handle that inside the chat, right? So you can do /compact or /new, and then that will avoid the context bloat. And then we've got a question here about like what's the best sort of agent or tool to use. For me personally, I think if I could only use one, right, to get stuff done, it's going to be Claude, right? Claude is absolutely amazing, very smooth to use, less buggy. If you want a free version, then just go with Hermes agent, right? Those are my top two, Claude and Hermes right now. So I would stick to those. I do think like, you know, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. So stick to one thing at a time, keep it simple, stay focused, and then you can build stuff in as you feel more comfortable. And then you can also see here, so Dr. John Meza, he actually set up Paperclip agent as well. So that's pretty cool as well. And what he did here is set up Paperclip and an AI integration engineer agent, right? And then got the instructions from that, which is pretty cool, right? So there's some people building like amazing stuff inside this community. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. So well done, John. That's actually amazing. Super smart as well. Richard was asking, you know, does SuperGrok light work on Hermes with OAuth? As far as I'm aware, I think it does. So as far as I'm aware, I think it does because I'm not on like the highest level and it seems to be fine. But just check that it might have very small limits. So you need to be careful with that too. But I will say either way, like from what I've tested, Hermes with Grok is probably my favorite setup right now because it can generate images, it can generate videos, text to speech, it can generate um, podcasts, and also you can speak to it in live mode as well. So, for example, we go over to Hermes here. In fact, I actually did this with OpenClaw yesterday and Grok. You can see that we have this talk mode over here, right? So we can actually speak to our AI agents, have a live conversation with them. We can change the voice inside that as well. And then we've also got all of our history here. So if I want to see like my previous history, previous things that I've created, etc., we can view it over there as well. So it's a really cool setup. You can see, for example, these are different things that I've created previously. If you go to the voice section, we can see all these different voice notes. If you go to videos here, we can preview the videos that we've created as well. So it's such a cool system once you figure this out. The other option as well that you have if you don't want to get a subscription with Grok is that you could use the API key, and the API key will probably be quite cheap if you're not using it too much as well. So that's another option. We got another question here from Lewis, right? And Lewis says, hi everyone. Question on setting up VPS versus being local. I don't have a decent or powerful enough PC. What would the recommendation be? As I would like to still use my laptop to work, right? How would I set up correctly? So you got a bunch of different options right here, right? The lightweight local dashboard, for example, with Hermes on a VPS. That's what John Messer did, as we covered earlier. So that's one option. The other option is that you do local, but you'd probably want a better machine. So, for example, like a decent laptop. But again, you can just go with the lightweight setup for now. And then the final setup is that you could have, for example, Tailscale running, right? And then if you've got a good sort of machine that you don't use, then you can install Tailscale, run Hermes on it, and access it from any laptop that you're on, right? So three different options there. If it sounds to me like you'd probably prefer path A with just the laptop setup and a lightweight version of Hermes on a VPS, right? But you don't need a super powerful setup. I've seen people, for example, set up AI agents like Hermes on just a Raspberry Pi, which is way more lightweight than a laptop. And bear in mind, like your laptop only needs to run a browser this way, and then the VPS can do the heavy lifting for you. All right, last question. And feel free, if you're watching this live, feel free to ask any questions as well. So the last question is from Jason, which is, should you migrate all your files to Obsidian first, right? And which agent should you focus on? So it's a good question. Here's what I would say, right? And number one, welcome in, right? Number one, should you migrate everything to Obsidian? You don't need to, right? I didn't when I started using Hermes, for example. You can migrate the rest as you need it, right? You could just drop like 3 or 5 reference documents into Obsidian, maybe your top 5 SOPs, maybe a brand voice document, your current goals, etc. That's enough context for now, and then you can build it. So you can start the build up right away. You can use Hermes immediately, and then you can ask Hermes to update the Obsidian Vault every day, so the vault grows as you use it, and everything gets set up. And then you can migrate the rest later if you feel like you need it, right? If you feel like, it's not good enough yet, but I don't think you will feel like that, right? Other issue was Jason was mentioning the OpenClaw breaks consistently. I honestly think Hermes is a lot smoother. So if you're having a lot of problems, I would give Hermes a shot. If you're like, okay, which one to focus on? And then in general, just go with Hermes in general, right? Um, and also feeling a bit like overwhelmed. I know you mentioned like a lot of people feel overwhelmed and you feel overwhelmed with AI. Just focus on one thing at a time, right? Like for example, you could just focus on setting up Hermes this week. You don't need to do everything at once. Just enjoy the journey. Take your time. There's no rush. You're on your own timeline and just enjoy it. Right? That's the way that I would look at it. So just to recap there, and then I know a lot of people worry about this, right? So a lot of people feel overwhelmed. They don't know what to use. There's a million tools out there. Just focus at one at a time. Enjoy the journey. Take your time. Don't rush yourself. Be patient. Don't try and do everything at once, right? The simpler you can make this, the easier it's going to be and the more enjoyable it'll be. So I'd focus on simplifying rather than trying to do everything at once. Okay, so I think we've answered every single question on there. The great thing about this is like one person asks a question, everybody learns together, right? And so we all help each other as well. So you can see everyone else is posting on there and helping each other too, which is great as well. And that's awesome. And then this is only 8 hours ago that Jason posted, and you can see like all the advice and the help he's got. And I've already created a video tutorial with him. And also the cool thing is like we give you the timestamp to see the video tutorial, but then also if you post, we give you the bullet point breakdown here so that if you don't have time to watch a video, no problem, right? You can just check out the advice right here. So if you want me to answer your questions with a video tutorial like this, feel free to post inside the AI Profit Boarding link in the comments description or go to the AIprofitboarding.com. You will get all of my best new trainings, my agent operating system, 4 weekly coaching calls per week. You can connect with members in your local area. We've helped so many people inside this community. I mean, for example, we talked about Dr. John and Ali as well, who also created his own agent operating system too. But yeah, it's pretty awesome to have like a great community of people. And every time we do this, everything gets better. So you can see all the people that we've helped here. Like so many people who've never even used AI before, just learning and growing. And that's what it's all about, right? Just raising each other up and supporting each other and helping each other out, right? And enjoying the journey as well, because sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming or a bit scary and that sort of thing, dealing with new technology. So thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions like this, feel free to post them. And the link is in the comments description, or go to the airprofitborn.com to get access. So one thing that's helped me so much with my AI agents, literally it's made all my agents like 100 times more powerful. It's helped me create so much more. It's also helped me save so much time. It's helped me keep everything organized. Is building out an agent operating system like this. And at this point, I literally set it up in like an hour. So it's quite easy to build this sort of stuff, but it's evolved so much. I mean, you can see all the cool stuff that we've added as we've gone along with this, right? And so basically what I want to talk about today is like 100. I've literally spent about 100 hours building this stuff out, and I want to share all the lessons and everything I've learned so that you can learn how to build your own agent operating system too, so that you can get the best results out of this stuff as well, right? And so today what I'm going to show you is how to basically build anything with an agent operating system, and I'm going to give you like a breakdown of 100 hours of lessons into like a quick sort of way to use this and start getting the most out of your agent operating system, right? And this is the way that I look at it. Is like, you got Hermes agent, for example, you got your agent operating system, and this powers everything else, right? So, for example, if we want to create podcasts, if we want to create videos, if we want to create SEO content, for example. Like anything that we want to do, we can automate it with Agent Operating System. I thought when I built out this video agent that it was just not going to work, but it worked perfectly, right? I built it in one morning. I also thought, like, for example, this agent Teams orchestration Kanban board wasn't going to work, but it worked perfectly, right? And so the crazy thing about this is I don't code, I'm not technical, but I can build something like this. If I can build it, there's also a lot of people inside the AI Profit Boardroom who can build it, then you can use this as well, right? And the thing I would say about this is like a lot of people use AI like a calculator. They have one question, one answer, and then they walk away. But I think the operators who win run AI like an operating system, right? That means memory. That means agents that build overnight. That means every output on one dashboard. And that's what this is all about, right? How to live in it, right? And so what I want to say here is like before, for me, and this is the reason that I built out this whole system. Before, when I was creating something like this, like running AI was really, really difficult, really, really confusing, right? Because, for example, like I'd check out OpenClaw and then Hermes, and then I'd have to set up Antigravity CLI, and then I've got a different app for Claude. And it's like you have one tool for chat, one tool for images, another for video, one for podcasts, right? And every output lands in a different folder that I'd never find again, right? And so I couldn't really talk to my agents. I had to type out every single message. If I wanted a website built, I had to like manage my agents. I couldn't just walk away. If I wanted a video, I might have like, 3 different AI tools working together. And then also like that means you end up with a load of subscriptions as well. So that was before I built this. And then I built Agent Operating System. And with 5 power moves, I basically wired it into one dashboard, right? So if I open up the screen, I can tap, for example, the AI agent for OpenClaw, right? And I can actually even talk to my OpenClaw over here. I can tap this and just have a live conversation with my agent. It's ready to go, right? I can set a goal on Sunday night and wake up to like a finished website on Monday morning, right? I can type a video prompt inside my AI agent over here, and like I can generate like an avatar video in like one single click, right? And the cool thing about this is if we're using something like hyperframes, that's free, right? If we're using Hermes with our alpha, which is a free API, that's free. Okay. And so like the other cool thing about this is like you can do it in one click, but also you can do it for free, right? And also the agent operating system. If you want to build this, if you go into Hermes and you say, build me out an agent operating system, here's what I want to create. The great thing about that is Hermes can build it for free as well, right? So you can see how powerful this sort of stuff is. And I've seen so many people winning with this. You can see Dr. John Meza, for example. He actually created his own agent operating system, like you can see. You can see Ross getting awesome results, Russell getting awesome results, Dan getting awesome results, right? There's so many people who are just getting great results with this stuff, right? So if you're thinking about building this, number one piece of advice here, number one piece is like, get it done today, right? Not tomorrow, because you've seen the proof. I've shown you examples of this sort of stuff. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I built all of this. But here's the deal, right? If you're watching this, promise yourself one thing right now, right? You're going to finish this guide and you're going to implement one of these before you finish work today, right? Because the moment you set up an agent operating system, everything about how you use AI changes, right? And the people sitting are just getting passed by. But the people building today are the ones who will look back in 6 months and say, wow, this is the moment that we created it. So commit to just building this because it will literally change everything for you. And there's a stack that I'm going to run you through today. And it's the Goldie Build Anything stack. All right. And it's 5 power moves turned into one dashboard into your whole AI workflow. Right. Now, you don't have to use all 5 from day one. Right. Each one can stand alone. Each one can work separately, right? But the magic is as you build each of these out, for example, like if you've got a voice system, then that can talk to goals, right? Goals can create websites. Websites can be saved into an SEO deployment system, right? That you've got the memory that improves as well with everything. So by the end of the week, for example, if you set up one system per day, well, you're running a whole system, not a tool stack. So let's talk about this. First of all, we've got the voice, which is how you talk to your AI agents. So if we go to the studio here, In fact, if we go to OpenClaw, then we go to Studio, then we go to Talk, right? I can talk to my AI agents, right? I can have a voice chat with OpenClaw, and literally I can just click here. I don't need to type anything. I can just have a conversation like having a phone call with my AI agent, which is pretty crazy. Then we have the goal system. So what we can do inside Hermes, for example, is we have this goal mode here, right? And you can set a long horizon objective. So you can click start goal, walk away, the agent runs. It's actually sandbox in a different directory. And then this will basically complete the goal or have 20 turns on it autonomously without you doing anything, right? And then, for example, if you say, okay, create a website, well, you would wake up to a full finished website, a multi-post blog, a working app, for example, and every file is created locally, right? And so you don't need to be there to manage your AI agents. Everything just works whilst you're away. Then we also have video, right? So inside this section here, you can see that we can create videos with my AI avatar, right? Pretty amazing. We can create over here. And then we've got this workspace with everything that we've created previously, right? And we can preview everything inside one system. So for example, if we click on this and then we want to preview this example, you can see it playing right here, right? And so what I've actually done with this for the video agent is set up Hyperframe CLI. And this can turn like one prompt into a video. And, you know, the Hyperframes itself is a free open source project that you can start using. Pretty amazing, right? Then you also got search. So this is another system that I set up because I do a lot of research and I think this is super useful for everyone as well, right? And you can see an example of like a search I actually ran about Claude Sonnet 4.8 yesterday, right? So you can type a query and then you get a proper guide in Markdown format, right? Beautifully formatted. And so you can research anything that you want to, right? And this is using the latest news because it's a Twitter search, which is linked to OpenClaw. And then we have the memory. And the amazing thing about the memory is like everything that you create inside this whole agent operating system is searchable forever, right? So every voice conversation will save. Every search result saves, right? Every video goes into the Obsidian Vault, right? And so you stop losing things and nothing you ever create with agent operating system goes missing, right? I'm sure you've experienced it where you've created something with AI and you're just like, how do I find that, right? I know I created it, but I can't find it. Even when I search a conversation or even when I ask Hermes, I can't see that thing that I created. And so that's why we have this knowledge vault right here. So that number one, we can plug context straight into our AI agents. And number two, it gives us hyper relevant examples and it updates and organizes the information for me, right? So for example, if I say to Hermes, you know, based on my Obsidian Vault, come up with some SEO keywords, it will actually come up with those and give me a bunch of ideas right here, all personalized to me and my project without me having to rebrief it. Pretty amazing, right? And so this is the full system that we've built with agent operating system. There's actually a lot more to it. But, you know, like for example, I could go into Codex here. I can go into goal mode, right? And inside goal mode, I can set a goal on like Sunday night and wake up Monday to like a finished website, for example. And why does this matter? Well, it basically means that you can give your AI agents a long horizon objective, like build out a beautiful website about, and then insert your niche, and it runs it autonomously, right? So the agent would write the pages, build the website, right? Create all the blogs, and then exit once the goal is met. And so everything is logged in real time, and you have something amazing set up, right? Now, some people say, what happens if this breaks? Well, number one, I've never seen it break, and I'm not a coder or a developer, but it seems to run really smoothly. But number two, this is all stored locally, right? So we can come back to it at any time. And that's the cool thing about having an operating system. And you can always go to your AI agent and say, restore the last version of this, right? So that's pretty cool as well. And also, you know, you might say, well, why do I want like every output that's searchable, right? Well, the beautiful thing about this, if we have like a system for our memories and everything else, you can see, for example, we have recent memories here, and then we can see when it was last updated, and we can see all of our details right here, right? And so the great thing about this is you stop losing the things that AI made for you, right? Every voice conversation, every search, every video that you create, every output that you create, every goal and system and website you set up, right? It's all stored in one place. And so that means that nothing you create ever goes missing. And it's all neatly organized. You save a lot of time just navigating and trying to find things. Now, some people will say, well, this sounds like another sort of file manager almost. I would say this is kind of like a simple way to organize everything, right? We're just creating fancy markdown files inside Obsidian, and that's how we organize our AI agents. But I would also say, like, the best systems are the simplest, right? So when we have a simple system like this that all links together, well, guess what? We can plug that into Claude, we can plug that into Hermes, we can give all of our AI agents more context, which makes them way more powerful. And so when you've got an agent operating system and you're thinking about setting this up, and I would, like I said, definitely recommend setting this up and creating yourself. You might be thinking, okay, where do I start? How do I build it, etc. So the way that I built this is literally I just go into Hermes or I'd go into Claude and say, this is my idea, set it up locally, right? Create the dashboard. Here's how I want it to look like. It's as simple as that, right? You don't need to do anything crazy or fancy. It's literally just like, here's what I want done, go off and build it. And then from there, it's not going to be perfect, but you can iterate from there, right? Now, the old way versus a new way, right? The old way, and this was like a lot more complicated, but you basically have like 5 subscriptions to different AI tools. You'd have to manage all of them manually. You'd lose loads of files, and you never really find the outputs that you create, right? A lot of people like mess around with AI all day. They're playing around with Claude code, but they never actually create anything. You don't want that. You don't want to be that person, right? What you want instead is a new way, right? Which is the agent operating system. And every time you improve this, you've built something new that's very tangible and you can come back to later, right? So, for example, when I created the memory, it's like, wow, I built that system that has all the knowledge about me and it's going to save me so much time, right? When I built out the video agent, I'm like, wow, I'll use that every single day, right? That's going to save me so much time. So, you get the point. That's how powerful it is. Every time you add something to this, it's a new workflow that you can come back to. And so with the new way, you've got voice chat with live agents, you've got overnight autonomous agents that build stuff, and you just wake up stuff using the goal section and the Kanban board. You've got the video agent, you've got, for example, the SEO agent, and you've got one dashboard with everything just one click away, right? Instead of like having to go to terminal and load up Hermes, I've got it ready to go, right? And instead of like having to load up Claude inside desktop or whatever, I've got it ready to go, right? That's way more powerful. And it's all linked to the context I have, which is pretty cool. We've got a question here. Which is from Christian. Christian says, I have to switch from OpenClaw. Does Hermes only work with API? No, so Hermes works with using, so you can use Hermes with OAuth. So for example, they actually have a news portal that you can set up with Hermes, and News Portal comes with some free models. So you can use, for example, like Step 3.5 Flash. That's an opportunity. The other one that you can use is Grok. So if you're already using Twitter and you subscribe to Grok, you can log in with that as well. And then you can generate videos and images and everything else with Hermes too. Now, if you want you can create your own system if you want. If you want my system, the build anything stack ready made, I've built all of this, the voice agent, the goals mode, the video agent, the SEO systems, the workspace memory system, and a 30-day playbook for implementing it inside the AI Profitable Board. Right, link in the comments description or go to the AIProfitable.com. If you go to this section over here, and then you go to the agent operating system, you can grab the zip file and you can see when it was last updated, and you get all the prompts and the roadmap for implementing this too, right? If you want that. You can build it yourself, but if you just want mine ready out the box, you can grab it. So this is a really powerful system that all links together as well. The other thing is, well, some people will say, well, like, I don't want to create this all at once. It sounds like a lot of work. Just create one thing at a time, right? Start with one. You can come back to the next one later, get your head around it, and then you can go from there, right? Like, you don't need to create it all at once. A system is something that you build, right? And I just want to be clear here, right? If you want to build this yourself, you go into Hermes, you ask it. Is Hermes free? Yes, it's a free open source project, right? Can you use Hermes for free? Yes, you can plug in a free API, right? And so, like, every part of this process you can do for free if you want to, right? Now, some people say as well, like, I don't need a dashboard, I'll just install the tools separately. I think that's a limiting belief, right? Because you can do that, but in a month you'll have like 10 tabs open, loads of different subscriptions you can't manage, no shared memory, and 0 systems improving, right? As I said, the more you use the agent operating system that you build, the more it improves every single time you use it. right? And so it's a positive feedback loop where it's getting better and better and better every single day, right? So for example, like today, build out the video agent, no problem, right? Last week, built out the SEO agent, right? You see how it just gets improved. And so everything becomes like 10 times more useful when it can use other parts. So for example, if we can just create videos and SEO content, like how amazing is that, right? And so like everything becomes more useful, more powerful, the more we improve it and the more we add to it. Next up, some people say, well, this all sounds a bit complex for me. Again, you can just add one thing at a time and each one teaches you the next, right? So after a month, imagine how far ahead you'll be, right? If you just improve this a little bit each day, right? A few minutes here, a few minutes there, just improve it, take your time, enjoy the journey. That's the way that I look at it. And then other people say, well, I'll wait until something like this comes out, right? It won't. Models update weekly, new CLIs ship monthly, new agents come out daily, right? But the people who wait 6 months are going to be way far behind people like us who build this sort of stuff, right? And so the window to learn this is now, right? The window is closing fast. So every workflow you build now improves, right? Every skill that you learn, every time you try this sort of stuff, you're going to get better and better at it. And that improves over time, right? Again, it's about building a system, not something that's one off. You can, and by the way, like so many people have built out amazing stuff from the AI Profit Boredom community that I know anyone who's never used AI before can get awesome results with this. I mean, Dr. John Meza, he created his own agent operating system, as you can see. You can see Clovis as well. They created their own awesome operating system like this, right? There's so many people who can build stuff like this and they don't even know about it. So honestly, like I said before, you will regret not building this sooner. So I'd highly recommend building it out now. It will make a huge difference and save you a lot of time. Do you have a step-by-step guide on how to do this? So if you, like I said, if you want my setup, you can get it over here. Just go to the classroom and then the agent operating system guide. We've got the full video tutorial. We have the zip file as well, ready to go. So yeah, if you want a full, like really in-depth technical guide, you can check that out. And then we've got another question here. Christian is asking, can you use like a chat GPT account and log in with GPT 5.5 using OAuth on Hermes? Absolutely. I've done that. You can do it. And the other cool thing about that is if you're trying to log into Hermes with OAuth, then you can generate images as well using your ChatGPT subscription. So you get both 5.5 and also ChatGPT image 2.0 inside it. So it's pretty amazing stuff. All right. So just to recap on everything that I've shown you today, you've learned how to stop typing, right? Because you set up voice agents with your AI, right? You learned how to basically create autonomous teams using the goal mode inside Hermes agent, right? You learned how to do this stuff for free. You learned how to keep everything organized inside Obsidian. And you learned how to get started with this whole thing and build a system, not a tool stack. And then you also learned how this whole system improves, right? So that's basically how to build your own agent operating system and all the stuff that I learned from doing this. If you want to get my full build anything stack, again, you could build this out yourself. But if you want to get my setup with everything wired into one dashboard, the voice, the goal, the video, search, memory, compounded into a system that you live in, not a tool you check on, inside the AI Profit Boardroom, you get the full install, the coaching calls, and the community already running this every single day, right? So you get the full agent operating system install. You get the voice agent that I've set up with OpenClaw. You get the goal mode for autonomous builds with Hermes. You get the video agent set up as well. You get the 30-day playbook, weekly live coaching calls, and there's 3,000 members in there already, 3,100 members already getting awesome results with this stuff. So you can ask questions inside the community. I answer them daily with new questions and tutorials, right? So for example, like Jason asked 9 hours ago a question and actually created a video tutorial for him, broke it down. And then also if he doesn't have time to watch the video, no problem, right? We give him a full recap right here of how to quickly implement it. So the great thing about that is you can get help whenever you need it to. And I just try as much as I possibly can to help you and give you the best advice I can, right? Inside the classroom, you get access to all my new trainings, like you can see. And you can see here, for example, if you want the agent operating system, you got the video tutorial. You can see the last updates. You know you've got the latest version. You can get the zip file for this and also all the prompts that I use in the 30-day roadmap for setting this up. You get the coaching calls. And also you can connect with people inside your local city, right? So, for example, you can see all these different cities with members inside them, and so you can connect with people locally who are doing similar things to you. And this is all inside the AI Profit Boarding. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoarding.com. Thanks for watching. Christian says, awesome, thanks. By the way, before I go, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. Happy to help you as we go along. Got a question here from Josiah. When you create the blogs and publish them, do you post them to GitHub? No. So what happens is, like, when we're creating the blog posts inside our agentic operating system, right? So if we go down to the SEO section here, what we do is we have our AI agent take the keywords, take the case studies, right? And then it just deploys it straight to Netlify. So it creates the content locally, and then it publishes it to Netlify. So you don't use GitHub in between. No need. But it does create a backup if we ever need to restore anything. All right. Thanks for watching. Cheers. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.